Jung's most perilous discovery wasn't rooted in mental illness itself. It lay in understanding individuals who perceived everything that others overlooked and the profound cost of this rare ability. Within his clinical practice, Jung meticulously documented patients who exhibited what he termed differentiated perception. These were individuals capable of reading micro-expressions with astonishing precision, sensing hidden emotions, and recognizing psychological patterns that eluded nearly everyone else. They could pierce through social masks, detect lies instantly, and feel the subtle undercurrents of tension within any room. Jung described this phenomenon as dangerous, not because these people were mentally unstable, but because their heightened perception invariably led to isolation, exhaustion, and relational difficulties. The psychological cost of seeing what others cannot or will not was profound and largely misunderstood. Today we'll explore Jung's most dangerous discovery, the story of those who see all, and why such rare perception can either destroy or elevate someone into an extraordinary state of consciousness. The revelation began with a patient he noted in 1913, a highly introverted and intuitive individual who came to him during Jung's personal crisis following his professional break with Freud. This patient exemplified what Jung would later define as the rarest personality type. Possessing what he termed undifferentiated intuitive perception, she could walk into a space and immediately sense its psychological atmosphere. Who was masking pain? Who was harboring unspoken resentment? Who was lying? Jung wrote, "The patient demonstrates an extraordinary capacity for perceiving unconscious material in others, yet this faculty appears to inflict significant distress rather than advantage. She cannot engage in small talk, for every social facade is transparent. Friendships falter because people feel exposed in her presence. Employment is unsustainable, as her mere presence disrupts the unconscious agreements that allow groups to function harmoniously." Jung realized that he was not observing pathology, he was witnessing the effects of consciousness pushed to its limits when perception becomes too differentiated for normal social survival. He documented her observations with remarkable accuracy. She seemed to access the private thoughts and hidden motivations of those around her, and upon verification, her insights proved astonishingly correct. This was not delusion or psychosis. It was advanced consciousness, so keenly attuned it became socially perilous. Yet the situation grew even more complex. Jung noted that such extraordinary perception was often inexplicable, even to those experiencing it. This led him to investigate participation mystique, a phenomenon where highly intuitive individuals absorb the unconscious contents of others to an overwhelming degree. Jung wrote during his Red Book period, "There exist those whose psychic apparatus is so finely tuned that they absorb not merely conscious communication, but the entire unconscious atmosphere surrounding them." Modern research, such as Elaine Aron's work on highly sensitive persons, validates Jung's observations. Roughly 20% of people possess heightened sensory and emotional sensitivity. Yet Jung went further, identifying a tiny fraction, about 1% of the population, who are introverted intuitive types, capable of perceiving unconscious psychological patterns with startling clarity. He referred to this as the differentiated intuitive function, in which the brain processes not only overt social cues, but also repressed emotional states, unconscious patterns, and latent psychological dynamics. These individuals could see the depression hidden behind a smile, the desperation beneath confident speech, and the collective shadow that groups unconsciously agreed to ignore. Jung explained, "The danger does not lie in the perception itself, but in the psychic isolation it produces. When one perceives what others cannot or will not, one becomes a mirror that society cannot bear to face. This is the problem of the superior function. Your greatest strength simultaneously becomes your heaviest burden, separating you from the collective unconscious." The real peril extended beyond isolation. Individuals with highly differentiated perception were often subjected to shadow projection, where others unconsciously attacked them for reflecting unacknowledged truths. Jung wrote in Psychology of the Unconscious, Nothing exerts a stronger influence psychologically on one's environment, particularly children, than the unlived life of the parent. This principle he found applied broadly. When an individual reflects another's shadow, the unconscious mind either integrates the shadow or attacks the mirror. The highly perceptive were repeatedly blamed for exposing problems that already existed. Gentle attempts to point out distress often provoked anger or accusations of negativity. Jung termed this the scapegoat phenomenon. The perceptive individual becomes the designated problem, not because they generate issues, but because they reveal latent ones. He wrote, "The bearer of superior perception becomes the repository for all that the group cannot consciously acknowledge about itself." This explained why these individuals often felt systematically targeted by invisible forces. Through observation, Jung identified 4 patterns within the introverted intuitive type, reflecting different ways of processing others' unconscious contents. 1. The feeling intuitive. These individuals absorb emotions deeply, often unable to differentiate between their own feelings and those they unconsciously acquire from others. Jung described them as living in perpetual emotional contagion, experiencing the unexpressed emotions of everyone in their environment. The 2, the thinking intuitive. Gifted with pattern recognition, they could predict behavioral outcomes and relational trajectories with startling accuracy. Jung noted their uncanny ability to forecast failures or breakdowns months in advance, not through reasoning, but through unconscious analysis. The 3, the sensation intuitive. These individuals detect physical manifestations of psychological states before symptoms emerge, serving as early warning systems for both psychological and physical distress in their environment. The 4, the pure intuitive, the rarest, possessing undifferentiated auxiliary functions. They perceive vast amounts of unconscious material, but struggle to organize or articulate it, leading to overwhelm. Jung stressed that recognizing one's pattern is crucial for proper integration, as each type demands a distinct approach. He identified 3 dangers for highly perceptive individuals. 1. Collective unconscious disruption. Seeing through shared illusions destabilizes social cohesion. Organizations and families depend on collective unconscious agreements, and perceiving these truths threatens the implicit balance. 2. Psychological isolation. Superior perception creates existential solitude. Individuals become islands of awareness in an ocean of unconsciousness, living in realities divergent from those around them. 3. Identity dissolution. Exposure to overwhelming unconscious content risks merging personal identity with external psychic material, a state Jung termed participation mystique, leading to potential psychological annihilation. To counter these dangers, Jung developed the individuation process, designed to maintain personal identity while engaging consciously with unconscious contents. Phase 1. Recognition and differentiation. Patients learned to discern what belonged to them versus what was absorbed from others, cultivating a distinct psychological voice. Daily solitude allowed processing and self-recognition. Phase 2. Shadow integration. Seeing others' shadows requires acknowledging one's own. Integrating the shadow means recognizing one's capacity for deception, selfishness, or cruelty, transforming perceptive clarity into non-judgmental understanding. Phase 3. Conscious participation. This phase involved engaging with collective unconscious contents without being overwhelmed. Jung emphasized psychological containers, the ability to temporarily hold others' unconscious material while maintaining clear self-awareness. Historical studies illustrated these principles. Unintegrated perception, exemplified by the philosopher Nietzsche, led to isolation and psychological collapse. In contrast, Meister Eckhart successfully integrated superior perception, channeling insights into compassionate service without overwhelming others. Jung highlighted conscious humility as key, sharing perception wisely rather than weaponizing it. Jung also chronicled his personal confrontation with the unconscious, 1913 to 1919, Red Book, nearly succumbing to psychosis until he learned to integrate his perceptions consciously. He realized that overwhelming consciousness was not pathology, but an evolutionary stage of awareness, necessitating careful guidance and practice. He identified 3 essential relational types for perceptive individuals. 1. Fellow individuated persons. Rare, fully conscious individuals who recognize authenticity immediately. 2. Those engaged in individuation. People actively exploring their consciousness can handle superior perception. 3. Natural containers. Individuals with life experience capable of holding psychological content without being overwhelmed. Jung prescribed gradual revelation, assessing others' receptivity before